According to the United States Food and Drug Administration, caffeine is consumed by 90% of people worldwide, whether it be through coffee, tea, soda, or other various food sources. In my case, my daily dosage of caffeine comes from a caramel macchiato with an extra shot of espresso from Starbucks. And I know I'm not the only one, considering the long line I encounter at my local Starbucks every morning. Most people know only the obvious effect of caffeine consumption, which is to increase mental alertness. This is well reflected amongst many colleges and universities, where most coffee shops are open late to serve the needs of busy college students who must study late for exams, especially when midterms and finals come around. So today, the purpose of my speech is to present you with a rundown of the positive effects and also the negative effects of caffeine. Most caffeine consumers realize that this stimulant drug has positive effects on the body, which include reduced fatigue, enhancement of mood and concentration, and even the enhancement of memory. I know most of us coffee consumers drink coffee knowing that it contains caffeine, which has the ability to keep us feeling more awake and energized. However, do we ever think about what exactly gives caffeine this powerful effect? I think it is very important that we understand how exactly caffeine, in not only coffee itself, but also in other drinks such as teas and energy drinks, works within the human body to produce the positive effects it is known for. First, we must know that our body's sleep is controlled by a chemical called adenosine. This adenosine chemical binds to receptors throughout the day, which is what makes the human body feel more and more sleepy as the day drags on. However, when the body consumes caffeine, the caffeine chemical has a similar structure to that of adenosine, and so it is able to fit into the adenosine receptors without causing the tiredness effect of adenosine, making the body feel more awake even when consumed in small amounts. According to the article, What Caffeine Can Do For You and To You, even a small dose of caffeine, such as 32 milligrams, could influence mental performance. This means that even a third cup of coffee could have the effect of making the body feel more awake. It's no wonder so many people drink coffee every morning to battle fatigue. When fatigue is reduced within the body, there is also an enhancement of memory. According to Michael Yassa, the assistant professor of psychological and brain sciences at Johns Hopkins University, caffeine has the ability to enhance memory. Yassa and his team of helpers conducted an experiment in which two groups of participants were given either a caffeine pill or a placebo pill right after studying some images. The following day, the participants were tested to see if they could recall the images they had studied the day before, without knowing that the researchers had added images that were only slightly different than the ones from the previous day. The results showed that people who had taken the caffeine pill were able to differentiate the images, saying that some of the images were similar but not completely alike. According to the Johns Hopkins researchers, this was not an easy task because differentiating small differences, like the caffeine consumers had done, is a deeper level of memory retention. Although caffeine is proven to have beneficial effects when consumed in moderation, research also says that caffeine can be dangerous when consumed in excessively high doses. However, it is rare and very unlikely to die of a caffeine overdose. But this does not mean that caffeine can be consumed by everyone. Caffeine is said to have negative effects on both young children and pregnant women. According to one article written in the Journal of Food Science, caffeine could have negative effects on young children. And I think this is something many people realize because oftentimes we hear about how children should not be allowed to have coffee. However, we must also realize that coffee is not the only source of caffeine. Caffeine can also be found in other food products that young children consume on a daily basis, including sodas, chocolate, and many types of candy. Caffeine is no different in young children than it is in adults in terms of general effects. It reduces fatigue and keeps the body and mind more awake. However, in children, this is an undesired and unnecessary effect. Whether it be an excessive or normal amount of caffeine that a young child consumes, it could lead to abnormal sleep patterns, and that could cause secondary effects, including headaches and abnormal development. The Journal of Food Science article claims that a high dosage of caffeine in young children, which is about 192.88 milligrams of coffee per day, could lead to headaches, which are a result of restlessness caused by the caffeine drug. Caffeine could also negatively impact pregnant women because it has been linked to abortions and abnormal development of the fetus. According to one maternal study named the CARE Study Group, the consumption of caffeine in pregnant women should be heavily reduced during pregnancy and even when planning a pregnancy. This same study found that there was a connection between caffeine consumption in pregnant women and fetal growth development, as well as the birth weight of a baby. The research conducted showed that the higher the intake of caffeine during pregnancy, the higher the risk of abnormal fetus development and the lower the birth weight of the baby. For this reason, caffeine consumption in pregnant women is recommended to be less than 300 milligrams of coffee per day. So I've discussed how caffeine is helpful and how it can be harmful. Now I will share with you some of the possible health benefits of caffeine that are still under investigation. Recent research has shown that caffeine could possibly help with weight loss and therefore help combat obesity, which is a huge problem in the United States considering that 64% of adults in the US are overweight based on their body mass index. According to one article, weight is regulated through the balance of energy within our bodies, and studies have found that consumption of caffeine increases the body's metabolism as well as our energy expenditure, and both these things result in weight loss or help the body to maintain a healthy weight. Caffeine is also said to reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes. This is also a concerning issue in the United States, with 2.2% of the population having this disease. Research has been conducted to study the correlation between caffeine consumption from coffee and type 2 diabetes. Studies found that there is certainly a relationship between drinking coffee and reducing the risk of type 2 diabetes. According to the studies conducted, people who consume 4 to 6 cups of coffee a day are at a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes than those who consume less than 2 cups of coffee a day. Although there is plenty of research to back up that caffeine can reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes, scientists believe that more research is needed before they are able to suggest the consumption of caffeine to prevent this. It is well established that caffeine consumption is a prevalent activity worldwide. Given its prevalence, I believe that one should be well informed of the effects caffeine can have on the body, whether they be good or bad. In this presentation, we covered that caffeine can reduce fatigue, enhance one's mood and concentration, and also one's memory. On the other hand, it could also trigger safety concerns for young children, pregnant women, or women who are seeking to conceive a pregnancy. It is also important to note that caffeine has also been linked in aiding with weight loss and the prevention of type 2 diabetes. So now the next time we find ourselves at Starbucks or any other coffee shop, we will be well aware of the helpful and harmful effects that caffeine can produce, and therein take action on moderating one's own caffeine consumption.